And welcome back, everyone, to the Centrum here in Worcester in the $350,000 Virginia Slims of New England. I'm Bob Kurtz, along with Virginia Wade, and we've got a pretty good matchup for you this afternoon. #1 player in the world, Steffi Graf, taking on Manuela Maleeva. That'll be our singles match. We'll follow that a little bit later on today with our doubles competition. Gigi Fernandez and Elena Sikova taking on Larissa Savchenko and Natalia Zareva of the Soviet Union. And then tonight, tape coverage for you after the Bruins game. Gabby Sabatini takes on Mary Jo Fernandez, and then the team of Kathy Jordan and Liz Smiley takes on Mary Jo Fernandez and Yana Novotna. So an interesting day of tennis coming up. And these are the rankings of the players, Virginia, as we come into play.
Well, and you see there that the only two players that are missing are Martina and Monica out of the top bunch of players in the world. And actually, we now hear today that Martina is undergoing some arthroscopic surgery on her knees. Will not be playing the Virginia Slims Championship of the Virginia Slims Championship next week in New York. But however, she had won this tournament endless times, and this is the first time that Steffi Graf has actually been here. And just going down the ranking list, it's Jennifer Capriati in there at number 10.
Well, this is how the prize money breaks down, and of course the bulk of it goes to the singles competition. The winner of the tournament will pick up a check for $70,000. Right on through runner-up, semifinalists, whether you play in the quarterfinal round, the round of 16, or the round of 28, totals $250,800. It is an interesting tournament. Of course, anytime you get into the world of women's tennis, you get with that international flavor. I'm looking at Steffi Graf out of Germany. Maleeva was born in Bulgaria, now makes her home in Switzerland. We've got a Czech playing, a couple players from the Soviet Union. Sabatini tonight from Argentina, Mary Jo Fernandez from Florida, an Australian, and another Czechoslovakian. So a great day, international day of tennis.
It certainly is very international, and likewise with the men's tennis, and it's always a challenge to pronounce all their names. But it's been about the first year that there are almost more tournaments around the rest of the world than there are in this country, but still it's tremendously popular. And we're watching, of course, Manuela Maleeva warming up here, and she has, as I said, she's played so well in the last few months, and that's really since she beat Martina, not only at the US Open, big surprise win, that tremendous result for her, but she followed that up immediately in the tournament afterwards with another win against her. She is the eldest of the Maleeva sisters. There are three of them, Katerina, who's 2 years younger, and then Magdalena. And it's Katerina's playing this week and today, in fact, in the semi-final of another Virginia Slims tournament. So it's a very tennis family. She beat, do you want to pronounce these names? She beat Rybakova from Czechoslovakia, who's a very hard-hitting young player, 2-in-love, very easily. Liz Smiley, look at these scores, hardly losing games, and Mercedes Patu upset Arantxa Sanchez. She only lost 4 games to her, so obviously you can tell by those sort of results that Manuela is not holding back. She is very focused. She is making short work when she can.
Obviously, he's going to have to be focused. They've played 13 times in their career, all of which have gone to Steffi Graf, which begs the obvious question to Maleeva, what kind of strategy she's going to employ to try and beat Steffi?
Well, what I try to do when I play her, try to be even more aggressive than her, block all her shots, and have nothing to be afraid or scared of. And I just try to play my game, try to serve well, and just contra-attacked all her shots.
And her game really is a very strong forehand. She can go down the line with equal facility as cross-court, and her serve has improved. But the last time she won the first set but couldn't win the next two against Steffi. And Steffi, we have all had the privilege of watching many times. She's had a rough year, as we all know, with personal problems, but has sort of started to pick herself back together on these indoor surface, on these tournaments indoors. 21 only, and you know, they were just introducing her as #1 in the world. She's been #1 since August of 1987 and has now beaten the record for anybody being #1 in the world, which was held by Jimmy Connors until this week. tremendous achievement. That is much harder to stay at the top than it is really to get there. Convincing win against Anne Smith, and then a more than convincing win against Natalia Zvereva, who is an awfully good player from the Soviet Union, who we're going to watch immediately afterwards in the doubles. So really, when you watch a match like this, one of the questions is to see how well Steffi is playing, because she has almost perfection within her reach. She has the potential to be almost as perfect as a tennis player can, and yet for her standard has been low this year.
But of course, at the timing of this tournament, with Madison Square Garden coming up next week, generally people that come in here are on top of their game.
Absolutely, and this is one of the reasons that this particular tournament here in Worcester has always attracted the mega stars, and they are very serious. You know that everybody's gutsing it out here.
Mental problem, I would guess, for Maleeva. I mean, when you've played somebody 13 times and you've lost 13 times, obviously they've established a mental superiority over you.
You're telling me, and that's one of the things that exists in tennis. It's probably a weakness as well as a strength of the game, is that there is such a psychological element, and it is very hard. It's a huge barrier to overcome. If you've lost to somebody and you even get yourself into a winning position, it's very hard to continue to believe that you can beat them.
But you also mentioned, before we went on, that they played the last time not that long ago, and Maleeva did very well for herself.
And that was just a few weeks ago in the European Indoors, which is held in Zurich. And Manuela won the first set in a tie-break, you know, and it's pretty hard to win a tie-break there. Bill Thompson, who's going to be in the chair today from Bloomfield, New Jersey.
What would be the key to the match? I mean, what is something we can look for early if Maleeva wants to pull the upset? What does she have to do?
To be perfectly honest, the key to this match is the person we're looking at right there is Steffi. It's how well she plays. If she's playing near her top level, she's going to be fairly invincible by anybody. If she's a little bit off and she begins to lose a bit of confidence, and Manuela has really the determination to you know, maybe last through what could be a marathon match, then she can plug away at her. She doesn't make any mistakes, Manuela, but she said herself that she has to be a little bit more aggressive. Now, that's almost against her nature to be aggressive, so there may be a few more errors than one expects from Manuela.
Well, one thing you'll notice, if you haven't seen Steffi Graf before, she is relentless. She goes right about her work, does not waste any time.
And I think that might be one of the tactics that opponents will employ against us, one way of trying to slow her down. You know, Steffi, given her choice, wants to just put her foot down and go full speed ahead. And you have to, as an opponent, try to prevent her from doing that. So try to play on your terms. So Steffi about to start off serving.
Steffi Graf 3 times won the Australian Open, 2 times the French Open, 2 times Wimbledon, 2-time winner of the U.S. Open, ranked #1 in the world. She has to serve.
15 love.
Quickly 15 love.
And her serve has just kept blossoming in the last few months. Also indoors, she has less factors to contend with. It's been very good.
Love. What's the best part of her game?
Well, you know, her forehand has always been the lethal weapon, but it's been the forehand that has been sort of errant this year, and that certainly looked like she knew what she was doing with that one.
Quickly 40 love.
One of the things I think to watch with Steffi is whether she's making any errors on the forehand, and also how many she's hitting down the line. That's a good shot. And by that, Steffi says that Her favorite forehand is really cross-court, so if she gets a little tentative in the forehand, she's going to hit more cross-court.
Match is also being televised today. Back to Germany. It'll be shown on German primetime television tonight.
40-30.
Graf, big hero.
Absolutely.
That's what kind of time slot they got. 8:15 prime time tonight in Germany, right after the soccer game. And we go to deuce. So Maleeva has battled back nicely from 40 love.
It was as if Steffi changed her mind on that forehand.
Fair ball, please. Full white.
Well, and that is the forehand that Manuela has to really employ just to be able to nail it down the line. So she has a break point. Good effort.
Deuce.
And back to deuce.
The serve of Steffi, now considered really the strongest serve practically in women's tennis.
Advantage.
And Graf with the advantage. 84 miles an hour on the serve.
And that one had a lot of spin on it, so it wasn't one of her big flat ones.
Not only the speed you see on the radar gun there, it is the movement on the serve.
Absolutely.
And back to deuce. And Maleeva playing strong.
Deuce.
Yeah, and doing what she said she had to do, be a little bit more aggressive coming in there.
What does she mean by being more aggressive?
Well, she means either going for bigger shots or else taking chances and coming into the net. Not her favorite part of the court.
And the advantage for Graf.
Those first serves that Steffi is missing are very close to the line.
Game Graf.
And the game goes to Steffi. So Maleeva has dropped the first game. She was asked about the biggest obstacles that she faced coming over here from Bulgaria.
When I came, it was the years of the Cold War, and the Americans didn't like the communists, and it's not only the Americans, but the Western world was fighting against the Eastern world. And so immediately, somehow, the public, the people, they picked on me and said, yes, she's a communist, she's a bad girl. And it has been very hard proving that, first of all, I was not a communist, and second of all, that I was just a normal girl who was trying to play her best tennis and show in front of everyone that she can play well also.
Well, we talked about this being an international game, what international feel we had, and there's some of the problems you have to overcome.
Isn't that interesting that she felt that way? Because certainly one would have no conception that was the feeling that would be transmitted to somebody from Bulgaria. I mean,
Recently married and now living in Switzerland.
yeah, she's married to Francois Franier, who was her coach. And so she's taking out Swiss citizenship too.
Missed with the first.
Love 15.
Love 15.
And not a good way for her to start, you know. So important, as I said before, not to let Steffi just get romping ahead. And she almost stopped her that previous game.
Fifteen all.
15 all.
Bad shot from Steffi. You know, you're always going to make a few errors, but an error which hits really low down in the net is pretty bad.
Having trouble with her first serve.
Well, you know, if you have Steffi on the other side, and you're always a little nervous on the beginning of a match with your game, really, it always takes you a little bit of time to settle in.
Nice shot. Manuela Maleeva.
And a great effort from Maleeva. I mean, Steffi was just all over the return. I mean, such a good shot. Manuela hardly got it back, but she certainly picked the right way, and Steffi thought she'd hit a winner.
Game
Maleeva. Yeah, the first set tied at 1. Each has won a serve.
1 all.
Mentioned she came from Bulgaria. Her mother, Yulia, was a Bulgarian national champion 9 times running.
And she developed all the players. She now coaches Katerina. Tremendous forehand. Having all these Maleevas around, you wonder if you're a player like Steffi, whether you really notice the difference between the sisters, because obviously they play fairly similarly.
Love.
Now that was a really difficult shot to make a winner. The ball was quite high that Steffi had, and to get such a sharp angle, tremendous shot.
And 40 love.
And that again was the sheer power of Steffi's shot which caused the error. Fabulous.
2-1 for Graf.
Graf leads 2-1.
So we'll take a little break here from the Centrum in Worcester.
Bruins and Penguins live Saturday night, November the 10th at 7 o'clock on Nesson. The intensity and drama of the MIAA Championship television series returns November 19th at 7 o'clock with complete coverage of the Divisions 1 and 2 field hockey state title games only on NESN.
Maleeva serving. Trailing Steffi Graf here 2-1 first set.
Beautiful point from both players. The tremendous forehand down the line from Manuela, followed by the superb lob. So very good quality shot. Still having trouble with that first serve.
Love 30.
It's funny, you know, because she's managing to keep her second serve really deep, which obviously, you know, if you've got Steffi on the other side, you feel you've got to keep your second serve really deep. But I think Steffi handles that deeper serve a little bit better than the one that just sits up in the middle of the court. It's an ace.
No trouble with that first serve. 15-30.
15-30.
Another good serve. One of the things that the players have started to do this year is serve more to Steffi's forehand.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah, but she produces a few errors. You know, they always played her backhand because that was the weakest shot. And what obviously happens in tennis is it's a seesaw effect. Your backhand starts getting better. You don't get enough practice on your strength.
40-30.
Continues to miss with the first serve. For the novices, when you miss with that first serve, how much comes off in your second serve to be safe?
Well, it depends a little bit on the player.
Game Maleeva primary.
And goes to Maleeva. We're even at 2.
You know, generally speaking, you take a lot of the second serve. I mean, you go for the first serve and then you put a lot more spin, so you want to get the ball higher over the net with more margin of error. But it depends how confident you are. If you've got a natural serve, you're going to go for fairly big second serves. And there are a few players who actually say, hey, listen, my first serve is a practice for my second serve.
15 love.
There's an ace. That had to be close to 90.
Good
30 love.
Definitely 30 love.
And I feel that Steffi's managed to bring the toss down a little bit on her serve, and that is helped by playing indoors where you don't have to worry about the wind and the sun and great differences in your perspective of the ball. Still quite high though. Oh, a sensational shot.
40 love.
Game point.
First serve. Game Graf.
And the game goes to Graf. It's now 3 games to 2. We'll take a timeout.
Graf leads 3-2.
By the time you're in your 20s, you have a pretty good idea of who you're starting to be and how you want to look. Here's a big help in that department. Nice and easy. Nothing drastic. A boost of color for your hair. A boost lighter, a boost darker, or just a boost. It looks good. It feels good. People say nice things about you. Nice and easy. You, only better.
Kansas State, the Wildcats. Oklahoma, the Sooners. A Big 8 blowout on Pride Network. Kansas State, the wily Wildcats' will to win rides on the arm of Carl Strong and lands in the hands of Michael Smith. But they face an Oklahoma defensive storm and a thunderous rushing attack that has no equal.
Don't miss this Big 8 battle Sunday night at 10 right here on NESN. Everyone's won their serve so far.
Tremendous forehand return, and Steffi definitely looking more confident with this big forehand. You know, we're talking about serves, and if just look at that, that's a very high first serve percentage. In fact, Steffi's served 8 out of 8 of the last first serves. And
Maleeva, as we mentioned, had difficulty getting hers in.
And it was, again, a beautiful forehand down the line that gave Manuela that easy put away. Seems to me that Manuela's toss is also higher than usual, and that's why she's coming down on the ball a little bit. All her first serves, practically all of her serves that she's missed have gone into the net. And it's a harder thing to correct when they go into the net than when they go long. It's really very easy to correct a serve when it's a few inches long. You just put a little bit more wrist on it, and you find the chord. When it goes in the net, there are all sorts of things that could be going wrong. That one nearly went in.
40-15.
40-15.
We'll just have another look at her serve just to see where that toss goes. It goes up and up and up and up, and she's sort of waiting for it, and you can see that it's way on the way down. So you really have to put a little topspin on the serve when it's on the way down.
Long with that one.
At least she's correcting something. They're going long now.
Game Maleeva.
Maleeva picks up the game, so we're tied at 3.
3 games all.
But she hasn't suffered too much because she's missing first serve. So second serve has been deep and pretty effective. Graf not really getting anything much to do with it.
Played by Graf.
15 love.
she's missed.
Just a little distraction there between the first and second serve, which might have thrown her off.
Good point.
And both girls playing really well there. Some topspin backhands from Steffi, as well as the slice, which is a little bit short, just pounced on again by Manuela. Good forehand on the line.
Point goes to Maleeva.
And suddenly, it's Steffi who's 15-40 down. Couple of break points for Maleeva. Just
30-40.
squeeze that in on the line.
30-40.
The odd whistle.
5 please. Thank you.
Everybody in the crowd always likes to be a linesman. Well, what an opportunity missed there. You know, it's one of the big rules in tennis. If you break point up, you get a second serve, you make sure you get that into play. What an opportunity missed there.
Any seat, please. Thank you.
Good crowd here today, but somebody just a late arrival.
And the advantage goes to Graf. Late arrival, also a baby in the car. We don't jump down the stairs, though, from either of these two that she had last year from Martina.
But these two really concentrate on their tennis, get on with it. Very good sports.
Game Graf.
Well, Steffi gets the game, goes up now 4 games to 3. Maleeva, though, playing strong and a difficult task for her, obviously, going against Steffi Graf in this one. And she was talked about before the tournament about how she's now playing composed, and she doesn't really show that much emotion.
There are times when I'm ready to smash everything around the court. I'm so mad. But I know that for my tennis, it's better if I can keep calm, because every time I have lost control, it has happened that I have lost control. I have gotten very mad. I have expressed it. I have lost these matches. So now every time it's close and I lose a point, I just try to think it doesn't matter. Just keep on thinking about the next point. So I get mad, but I keep it more inside.
And so often it's the battle against yourself on the tennis court, not even the opponent out there. Manuela has been very successful, 12 wins. She hasn't had a tournament win this year, but she has played in the tournaments where all the top players have played. And she's only really lost to the Sellises and Grafs of this world. Consistent.
Just
Love
missed.
15.
She's still having trouble getting her first serves in, but you see, Manuela's game is not based on her serve. Her serve is really only a way for her to start off the rally.
Long with that one after being in the net with the last one.
The only thing that's sticking out is the first serve. She's at 24% now.
Comes back and gets the point. You saw there how much she took off that second serve.
Yeah, well, actually, in a situation like this, we have a machine which is telling us we could maybe even see that. But what a great two-handed backhand. She just takes the ball early, puts all her body into the shot and gets it very close to the line.
15-30.
Didn't do her much good to get the first serve in. As I said before, I think Steffi actually prefers something more definite on the first serve to respond to. Then she has a ready set solution. When the ball just sits up, it's always an area I feel that Steffi hasn't really developed quite that much. That was 96. Let's see what that one is.
30 all.
There was a comparatively easy second serve. The ball sat up and looked at Steffi,
I took 30 miles off.
and she got tempted into trying to do too much. Oh yeah, that just worked.
30-40.
Manuela did everything right, came in, and that ball just sizzled over the net, and now Steffi has got the...
Minus C, please.
In actual fact, it's her first break point of the match. Hers, Steffi's.
And back to deuce.
Deuce.
Well played from Manuela.
Advantage.
Maleeva with the advantage.
Advantage. Maleeva, Franier. Game Maleeva, Franier.
Game goes to Maleeva. We're tied at 4.
Four games all.
And really some awfully good tennis from Manuela. She had to handle a fearsome forehand and hit the ball so early that she out-hit Steffi. 4.
15 love.
In love for Graf. Winner of this one, championship game tomorrow. Tonight at 7 o'clock, Gabriela Sabatini, Mary Jo Fernandez, the other two semifinalists.
30 love.
30 love.
I've got her for
40 love.
And really some of the best serving that I have seen Steffi produce. Very consistent, right in a groove here. Then she gets a little carried away. 40 love up. She can't resist going for the really spectacular winner, can she? I suppose when you have such great shots like Steffi, you know you're capable of hitting a winner of practically everything. You might as well try.
40-30.
40-30.
Really good effort there by Manuela, the return deep up the middle of the court. You'll very often find the server not really ready, not prepared for it. Oh.
And the game to Graf. An awesome forehand by Steffi Graf. He goes up now 5-4.
Leads 5-4.
That just exploded.
It really did. I mean, it's like a whip, isn't it? There's a huge serve, and then this one, it could go anywhere. She just nails that ball. I mean, really, it is like a whip. And when Steffi first arrived on the scene, you know, with this huge forehand, this tall, skinny 13, 14, 15-year-old, and she's been around for a while with this massive.
So calm.
Yeah.
You look at her.
I think McEnroe was the only person who found that he played better when he let go of his emotions. But nobody else really improved. Bad luck.
Love 15.
That would have been a great shot if it had worked. The topspin backhand from Steffi rolling at her feet, and it was the right choice of shot. It would have just popped over the net.
Love 30.
Love 30.
Well, as we know, Steffi has not managed to break serve yet in this match. She's been love 30 before. She's had one break point only. But at this stage of the match, you really have to concentrate.
Steffi Graf up 5-4.
And a very simple passing shot for her two-handed backhand. I bet you if we ask Steffi after this match, I mean, I'm assuming that she'll eventually win this, but could she believe that she was handling the second serve so poorly when she got a look at so many second serves? Manuela's first serve percentage is way down, 25 or something.
She goes up 40-15. For all the first serves she's missed, Graf has not been able to break.
Absolutely, and she hits this ball really early. It just made it, and it was flirting dangerously there from Steffi, and then she missed the next ball.
Deuce.
You know, it's funny, but I reckon that Manuela's not winning the points when she's getting her first serve in either. I don't have a way of remembering all of them, but that's what seems to me to be the case. It's better when for her when she gets her second serve in.
Oh, she's in trouble here.
Tremendous point, well played point. Well, she did get her first serve in there.
Advantage, Maleeva, Bonnier.
Advantage, Maleeva.
Game Maleeva.
And the game goes to Maleeva, so we're tied at 5. No one has broken serve. And the interesting part again for Maleeva, despite the fact, Virginia, that she's missed so many first serves, she has seemed to play better when she does miss the first one and has not had her serve broken yet.
And now you get to the real meat of a set on 5-all.
I don't have it. Hold on one second. Hold on.
Good point again.
15 love.
Just
30
so.
love.
Manuela is handling this big serve of Steffi's awfully well. You know, the surface is a good pace, it's medium pace, but if you serve really well, it gives you a lot of help, and Manuela hits the ball so early on the return.
And right back with a rocket. Maleeva picks up the point. 15-30.
15.
And as soon as Steffi had delivered the serve, she chose to go wide on the second serve. She was moved over to waiting for the down-the-line shot. And that's beautiful play from Manuela. She's been doing most of her damage down the line, as she did on this shot, and then came in with the easy little short angle. Very good. Huge point. 5-all, 30-all.
Graf with the big serve and then the forehand to put it away. 40-30.
A little verbal slapping of her thigh there.
Game Graf.
And the game goes to Steffi Graf, who now leads 6-5. We'll take a break.
Graf leads 6-5.
That's the hockey stars of tomorrow when two of the top teams in the AHL take the ice at Boston.
$350,000 Virginia Slims of New England were at the Centrum here in Worcester. 6-5 for Steffi Graf here in the first set. Serve belongs to Manuela Maleeva, who has played extremely well.
She sure has. Dismal serving, but it hasn't affected her at all.
First
And
serve.
it continues. But as you pointed out a couple of times during the match, she seems more effective on her second serve.
Well, that
Once
was
again.
equivalent to committing suicide for Steffi. She hit a drop shot which was really
15 love.
a terrible shot. I mean, it bounced high and just set it up for an easy one here in the whole court to put it in. Good serve. It's just possible also that having struggled through this first set with her first serve, she could finally start connecting with it. Definitely two better serves then.
How low the chuck is
40 love.
40 love.
Her shots are so compact and she hits the ball so early. There's not a lot that can go wrong with them.
Game Maleeva Pioneer.
Game to Maleeva. Tied at 6.
6-all tiebreak.
To the tiebreaker we go. Yeah, it'd probably be as good a time as any to bring it up, Virginia, to explain the tiebreaker in women's tennis. You played to 7, right?
Yeah, Steffi serves the first point, and then you each serve 2 points each.
1-0.
Play to 7, have to win by 2.
And the last time that they played, they went to tiebreak in the first set, and it was Maleeva who won that, so quite an interesting situation here.
Tied at 1. Big first serve again. She's getting more of those in, as you mentioned.
1-all.
And they just had the new boards the last game, so it puts a little extra vim on the ball. So, well, I don't know whether that made sense for Manuela to serve and go to the net
2-1.
right then.
Drop.
Cost her sort of dear because she didn't make a very good volley and was easily passed.
Grab.
3-1. Drop.
And Steffi getting a little bit more comfortable these days when she makes an approach shot and does exactly the right thing. Moved in to hit that backhand volley.
Or 1 grab.
Good swinging serve there.
4-1. Drop.
Did you hear him, Margaret?
She's only one little mini break down, 1 point down on her own serve. Yeah, and well played from Maleeva. Good serve and courageous volley.
4-2. Drop. Balls down.
So they change ends every 6 points.
Down 4-1, comes back, it gets 2 points with her serve.
4-3. Drop.
Steffi trying to employ the net rushing tactic again, but she left a big gap down the side there, and that's probably Manuela's favorite passing shot down the line. So not too much room for maneuver here. It's only the 1 point against serve. Whoa.
5-3 for Graf.
5-3. Drop.
Steffi living dangerously there. That backhand just skimmed over the net. Helped her out actually a little bit. Oh.
Graf is up 6-3. No more margin of error now from Maleeva.
Yeah, and this was a very confident point because that was an awfully difficult shot. You had to stay down so well with it. Bounced low and it had a lot of underspin on the ball. So it's set point.
Game in first set drop.
First set goes to Steffi Graf. Wins it 7-6. Tough loss here in the first set. And Manuela Maleeva.
Wins the first set 7-6.
Now down after the first set. And at this point, you know, you would ask her, what do you do? What do you think about?
You have no other choice but to forget what has happened in the first set. Maybe remember some points where you should have done this and that. But if you have a bad set, you just try to forget it and try to think what you have practiced for the last few months, what you have been working on, and you just try to put all this into the game. And so I think usually you just try to forget a bad game, a bad set, a bad point. You cannot afford to think about them.
But Virginia, she did not have a bad set. She had an excellent
Yeah.
set, and you get the idea that she played about as well as she can. She won all of her serves, still lost. Mentally, what does this do to her coming back for the second set?
Oh, it's not easy, I can tell you. You know, you fight your way against the number one in the world. You fight, get to 6-all, and then you lose a tiebreak, and it's like the bottom of your world falls out. It's very hard to focus again and still believe that you've got a chance to win this match. It seems like just an unclimbable mountain ahead of you.
Just with her first serve, and particularly in the case of Maleeva, for those of you that are just joining us, she has played Graf 13 times in her life, has lost all 13. Came back, played as well as she could possibly play in the first set.
Wow, just magnificent forehands there from Steffi. The point, she won the shot. She won the last set with the forehand down the line, and that forehand shows that she is regaining the confidence on her forehand that was sort of missing this year.
First serve.
Probably a little less patient right now than she was in the first set. Yeah.
Of 30.
Love 30.
Whoa, she let herself go there a little bit. And the first serve of Steffi, you know, 80% is very high, so 77 is almost there. 51 it picked up right at the end. The winner is pretty close, surprisingly. In fact, you know, the stats were all quite close apart from that first serve percentage. And we had a close set. A double fault followed by the ace.
15-30.
That quiet exterior, but inside boiling, as we saw with the bounce of the racket.
Yeah, I think her younger sister Katerina also gets a little bit upset at times.
30-all. $40-30.
40-30.
Always an effective serve, a really wide swinging serve out to the forehand.
Game Maleeva
And
final.
the game goes Maleeva. But she came back well and lost the first set. Fell behind Love 30, came back to win the first game here of the second set. We'll take a break. Bob Kurtz, Virginia Wade back with you here. Centrum in Worcester. Steffi Graf serving now. Second game of the second set.
First serve.
Steffi winning the first set 7-6. Love 15.
Love 15.
Steffi must be disappointed that she can't quite dominate this match as much as she'd like to. Because she's, as we pointed out, serving so well, playing the ball well, but still making, you know, a few mistakes at costly times. It is a
15
difficult
more.
tournament for the players to play with, knowing that the major event is coming up next week, the Virginia Slams Championship. And, you know, there's been such a debate this year because nobody has won more than one Grand Slam tournament, so it is doubly important. And you know you've got to get yourself into best condition for that event. Try not to lose any confidence in any of these matches. Yeah.
Advantage Maleeva.
The approach shot in a dangerous position. It went up to the forehand side and not deep enough. So really, Manuela could have gone either way, but she chose the forehand cross-court again.
First time we've had serve broken in the match. But Maleeva suffered in the effects of losing that first set, 7-6. She's come back and certainly dispelled that here in the second. Fell behind in the first game when she had the serve, won that, and then broke serve there.
Any seats for now?
Yes.
And you're right, it's really Steffi who's the one who's a little bit flat right now. And just beautiful heading from Manuela. Early ball again. Drives through the ball so well.
And obviously, this is a big game for her right now.
Absolutely.
She could put Graf down 3 games to none. You don't want to come back after having broken serve and have your own broken.
Love 15.
And yet you also, by the same token, wonder if Steffi will get spurred into action.
You mean a wake-up call?
Wow. She went way out of court to hit that forehand. She moved all the way over to her left. The serve goes in quite deep to the backhand. She's completely outside, hits inside out. Screaming winner.
Out. 15-30.
15-30.
Not happy, Steffi. I think it was a little bit long, but close. And she's been love 30 several times on Manuela's serve and then proceeded to lose the next 4 points. Something like 3 times, I believe.
All.
30 all.
30 all.
Well, if you toss it wrong, that's your prerogative. Catch it and start again.
(30-40).
30-40.
And I think that Manuela was
Negotiation.
a little bit upset because there was a big backhand that Steffi just ripped earlier in the point, and it was a little close to the line. It could have been out, but The reason she managed to get away with that approach shot was because she got a lot of underspin and it kept very low.
She had needed that call. Cost her. Game will go to Graf, 2-1 now. For Maleeva, we'll take a break.
By the time you're in your 20s, you have a pretty good idea of who you're starting to be.
This is what has transpired so far today. Steffi Graf winning the first set 7-6. Maleeva has come back, leads 2-1 here in the second set. The serve belongs to Steffi Graf.
And really a very, very close encounter here.
Love.
15 love.
Just those 2 breaks of serve which have happened in the match, and they've been in the last 2 games.
30 love.
Steffi's serve really remarkably good today.
Good point.
And Manuela handling the pace of Steffi's shots so well. And really because she hits the ball very early with a very compact backswing.
First serve. Clear the ball.
She just blocks the ball, in other words. It follows through so well. And it's Steffi who has to make all the different decisions here, make the risky play. She comes in again, it's in a short approach shot, and she wasn't even inside the service box when she got to the net, and it was past her. Slightly reckless. Oh, that's a good shot. The ball stayed so low.
Had 3 straight good points now.
30-40.
And this is a tough ball here, and she's really got to get her knees bent low, and it just skimmed over the net, so more problems for Steffi. I just feel that Steffi's rushing a little bit, not really totally applying herself.
Game Maleeva.
Maleeva's really playing well, though. I mean, she'd come back from losing that tiebreaker.
She is playing awfully well.
Then she had the bad call when she had finally broken serve, had her own serve broken, but comes right back and breaks Steffi's again.
She is playing awfully well, and as I've been saying, her tennis has improved so much in the last few months. She's works with her husband coach. She's worked a lot on her improving her serve, or going for more pace on the serve. And as we've seen today, first serve hasn't been that consistent, but her second serve has been very good.
Last 3 games.
Funny how a match changes around.
15 love.
And really a wild forehand there from Steffi.
Dirty love.
Same again. I mean, very, really unfocused shots, those two.
Second serve. Select.
It's always so irritating when you hit what you think has been a really good serve and suddenly a letter's called. Bill Thompson was sure he heard it, but he has a person at the net as well, a net called judge. First serve.
30-15.
And now she's going to give him a little stick because he got the score
Second
wrong.
serve.
But she's the one who's really suffering really from his interruption, so she's got to keep her concentration.
And so far, she's been able to do just that.
40 love.
Yeah, well, concentration is definitely one of her strong points.
Four games to one Maleeva here in the second set. Mentioning concentration is one of her strong points, where she's battled off a lot of little nagging things that where you could have tossed it in over the course of this game so far.
Well, there haven't been any major disruptions, so, and, you know, when you go into a tennis match, you know there are going to be a few little things that are not going to go your way, and when the tension is great out there, you always think that the whole world is against you. But I don't know what's going on in Steffi's mind. She's definitely the one who is unfocused at the moment. She really lashed out in the last couple of games at the ball, and they were very low percentage shots. You know, all year she has had so many problems off the court going on, and it's amazing tennis. If you go on without your total mind being with you, you might as well not go on the court at all.
Well, from the world of tennis to the ice at Causeway Street as the Boston Bruins hockey continues here on NESN tonight at 7. The Bees will host the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Bruins, of course, are on a roll. And you can see all of the action tonight against Pittsburgh starting at 7 o'clock live here on NESN. Bruins and the Penguins, and then immediately after the Bruins game tonight, we'll be back with the second half of our Virginia Slims of New England doubleheader. We'll have the other singles semifinals and also the doubles following Bruins hockey tonight. Maleeva continues.
A super driving from Maleeva
Love
there.
15.
Unforced errors are 7 Graf, 0 Maleeva. Yeah.
And Steffi got away with that, but she's really being posed some problems now by Manuela's ground strokes because, as I've said several times, Manuela hits the ball so early that she generates a pace by virtue of that. And it's Steffi's making more mistakes off the ground. And just a very good play by Steffi. The drop shot, beautifully executed. She almost didn't need to have to play next ball, but that she did so well, the lob.
$40-15.
40-15.
Steffi Graf. The crowd here at the Centrum seeing some excellent tennis.
Really tremendous tennis. And Manuela is the sort of player who doesn't set you any really definite problems out there as far as what to do, because she's almost equal of both the forehand and the backhand. Never misses the ball, so you have to sort of create some interesting plays. And Steffi hasn't really done that so far. She's just tried to win by out-hitting her.
Back. Love 15.
That toss has been a bit of a problem for Manuela. A little high and over her head today.
all.
15 all.
What's Steffi saying?
I didn't hear what she said, but I can imagine that she wasn't very happy because there was no need to really miss that. There was very definitely an unforced error. The ball just floated off her racket. But she doesn't get too much help of Manuela's rackets with unforced errors. That one was just a little bit long. Well, bad luck. She just was really plugging away at Steffi's backhand, and Steffi was the one who was in trouble. But then Manuela missed that last ball, which was really just because she went for a little bit too much, a little over-ambitious. And strangely enough, in tennis, you either break up, but then that's when you get a little bit edgy, whether you do more or less. 15-40 in second serve.
And the game goes to Graf. Breaks the serve of Maleeva. 4-3 now. Maleeva leads here in the second set. We'll take a break. Great place to watch the game, the Centrum here in Worcester. And it's been an excellent tournament. Seeds have survived, and certainly an excellent semifinal here. Steffi Graf and Manuela Maleeva.
Love 15.
Certainly not vintage Graf that we have seen here today.
Well, I think the tennis is good. I mean, she seems to me to be confident and happy with her actual shots, but her mind hasn't been as dedicated to this match as I'm used to seeing Steffi. You know, you play an awful lot of tennis matches in a year, and it's very hard to just keep feeling that every single match you play is the most important thing you've got to do.
It's just
And
interesting, though, you know, as an observer looking at her. I mean, she does not look particularly focused, nor does she look like she's particularly enjoying herself.
you're not supposed to look as if you're enjoying yourself. Obviously, that's...
Smiles come later, huh?
Yeah. That was actually a very effective backhand approach out of Steffi. It was a little bit shorter, but it stayed so low that Manuela had to poke at the ball. And a few more errors coming
40,
into
15.
Manuela's game, and I can't help feeling that because she had that lead, that 4-1 lead, you know, what happened in her mind was she suddenly thought, gee, you know, I'm in a winning position, and then you get that little question mark, and maybe get a tiny bit afraid to win the match, or the set even.
Thirty.
40-30.
Steffi was not impressed with that shot she hit, and she blurted something out then.
Game Graf.
And the game goes to Graf. We're even now 4 games apiece here in the second set.
4 games to
Talking
1.
about Maleeva being up 4 games to 1. The last 3 have gone to Steffi. And obviously this will be a huge game for Maleeva.
Well, it is because she's played 3 definitely lower caliber games than all the rest she played in this match. Tennis is so much about concentration, and you can't afford to have any real lapses. Some beautiful shots there from Steffi.
Tide is
Beautiful.
changing.
Love 15.
And that had backhand volley had come after the sort of massive forehand she hit in the middle there.
Even Steven through the first set, really. Maleeva the edge here early in the second, but now Graf is beginning to look like beginning to dominate a bit.
Love 30.
Tennis is so weird, isn't it? Because that first set, it was so much level as far as the intensity was concerned and the play was concerned. And then suddenly it just sort of turned upside down. And sometimes that happens. You know, if your concentration is good and the other person their concentration goes down, it's almost as if the air goes out of your own balloon, which is maybe what happened to Manuela, because she's definitely had a little lapse in her own concentration now.
Is now getting picked apart.
Love 40.
And you can see that this is going to be a tremendous shot all the way. She just nails it, gets onto that, drives it close to the line.
Game Graf.
And the game goes to Graf, who breaks serve. Takes a 5-game-to-4 lead here in the second set, and we'll take a break.
Graf leads 5 games to 4.
You've learned a thing or two about what makeup can do for you, right? Now, how about your hair? I'm not just talking clean hair. I'm talking shiny and soft I'm talking color you shampoo in. Beautiful color. That's you. Only better. Nice and easy. That's what it's called. Nice and easy. I can't think of another move that can make you feel so good about yourself. Love? Maybe.
The main event. Boston's own middleweight Irish Steve Collins versus Eddie Hall, November 24th at the Boston Garden. The undercard. Brockton's Robbie Sims, Malden's John Rafuse, middleweight Dan Sherry and his manager Sugar Ray Leonard. Tickets available at the Boston Garden box office and all Ticketron outlets or by calling Teletron at 1-800-382-8080. Be there.
Well, Steffi Graf, the #1 seed. She is the champion of women's tennis, and service broken so far, but Graf definitely has taken over this match, sort of waiting for the chance for Maleeva to give her the opening, and she's taken advantage of it. Now serving with the chance to win here.
It's so funny, isn't it? It's almost as if Steffi wanted to create a little bit of a problem for herself so that then she could
overcome it.
Pull herself together. And
15 all.
That's the first bad shot for a bunch of games. I'm sure she doesn't want to create any more problems for herself right now, though. She wants to wrap this up and get off the court.
(15-40).
And a very good point there from Manuela.
15-40.
And plugging away at the backhand until she got the opening. Went for the big one to the forehand. 15-40. 2 break points.
Game Maleeva.
Game goes to Maleeva. We're tied at 5 now here in the second set.
Balls down.
Just when you thought that Steffi Graf was going to put it away, Maleeva comes right back and ties it up. Can't get much closer than that.
No, definitely one of the closest matches that they've ever played.
Love 15.
Not a bad idea going for a second serve wide like that, especially you know that Steffi wants to run around and hit the ball. You know, you usually serve to the backhand and she would run around and hit on the forehand, leaving a bit of a gap over wide to the forehand, but she didn't make the serve.
Left 30. First serve.
Well, the error came because Manuela had moved Steffi around so well in that point.
30.
15-40.
15-40.
Again, I think we certainly seeing with Steffi that she has regained her confidence on her forehand. She bounces around, hits forehands from all parts of the court, from out on the backhand side and the forehand side. That time she was waiting to go the other way, though. She was not ready for that serve.
30-40.
Deuce.
Deuce.
And the advantage, Maleeva. He keeps plugging away and plugging away and plugging away.
Sure does.
Done that a few times.
Well, the toss is very high today. Very high.
She's a married woman.
Deuce.
Deuce.
Next week at Madison Square Garden in the championships, they've had to change the draw, and I'm amused because Jennifer Capriati had a tough match against Gabriella in the first round. They've changed the draw, and now Jennifer gets Steffi in the first round. And they had to change it because Martina has withdrawn. Should be an exciting first round. A tremendous amount at stake at the end of the year with the Kraft General Food point standing, the bonus for coming top of the list, the huge prize money at the Garden.
Great tournament. So the game goes to Maleeva, and we will take a break.
Maleeva Fournier leads 6-5.
Well, on Maleeva has forced her right to the end here.
And Steffi has been hitting a lot of tremendous shots, but also a lot of mistakes. Oh, wow, that is a great drop shot.
15 left.
You know, Steffi's made a lot of mistakes, which I feel have been because she hasn't really concentrated, but it's very dangerous to play like this because she several times in this year has been in a position where she served for the match in the second set, you know, at 5-3 or 5-4, in this case at 5-4, lost the serve without too much trouble, and then got herself into a real hole in the match. And
Maleeva puts it away, 15 all. Well, I think that would be a tough opponent, Maleeva, to make that many mistakes against, because she won't make many.
that's right. I mean, I particularly remember a match that Steffi played against her sister, against Katerina, in the final of Canada, when Steffi had been totally overwhelming and then served the match at 5-3. Next thing you know, she'd lost the tiebreak, and it was 3-all in the third set, and she was really in trouble, really struggled to pull that one around.
(30-15). That's Maleeva talking to herself.
Well, it looked like an easy ball, but it was so slow and had such a lot of underspin on that you have to time it very carefully, that type of shot. A change of pace is something you probably would try to use against Manuela, because she likes to hit the ball so early and consistently.
Buried it. 40-15.
Steffi not really in her most favorite position. The net really only just got her racket on that one, but got start the point here, and that was good for her because she ended up with a very easy put away, and she sure was emphatic about that.
1 point away now from sending this to our second tiebreaker.
And that has also happened before in this match. Steffi just moving over to the left, anticipating the return to her backhand and being totally flat-footed in the middle of the court. Trying to second-guess your opponent, and sometimes it's costly. Start.
In goes to Graf. We're tied at 6. To the tiebreaker we go again. First one of which, as you can see, to Steffi Graf, 7-6. She may win it. She may win it in straight sets, but it certainly hasn't been easy.
Well, I knew it, judging by the way that Manuela's been playing lately, this could be a close match. But it's really just been a very odd second set. Oh, yes.
First point to Maleeva.
And both players covering a lot of court and also out hitting each other. I mean, tremendous hitting there. Clever shot.
Nothing, Maleeva.
2-0, Maleeva, Fanier.
Well, I was thinking the beginning of this tie break would be important. And it's definitely Maleeva, who's a little bit sharper right now. When you see how the ball dies on the short ball, you wonder that these players haven't used more short balls, because it just completely drops dead, this ball. Well done. Very good touch. Super serve. Wow. If
Wow.
he was struggling with the serve all through the first set, certainly found its groove now. Tremendous pace right in the corner.
Steffi comes back.
Pretty dynamic stuff in this tiebreak.
2, Maleeva Fronier.
Just 1 point against serve. That was against Steffi's serve. Always the hardest point of the tiebreak, the 1 point you have to serve when you change ends.
4-3.
Didn't worry Steffi though. And another just excellent cross serve, and that one was not into the corner, it was more into her body.
Maleeva is 1 point away from sending this to a third set.
And a very strange choice of play there from Steffi, coming in that forehand. So 3 set points. Whoa.
6-4, Maleeva Fronier.
6-4 Maleeva.
You can't help wondering what choices Maleeva's going to make now on these set points, whether she's going to go for broke or try to just outlast Steffi. And the crowd really into this match.
6-5, Maleeva Fronier.
And whether she can come up with those big serves now.
She did it. An ace to put Graf away. So we head to a third set here at the Centrum in Worcester.
Game in second set, Maleeva Fronier, 7-6.
She played.
Well, tremendously, and my goodness, she couldn't have found her first serve at a better time.
Could not be any closer than this. First set goes to Steffi Graf, 7-6. Maleeva wins the second, 7-6, and here we are for the third and deciding set.
Are you going to hold the second, all right?
15 all.
15 all.
No, she hit those forehands so well, and she just got impatient on the last ball. She didn't really come in on the right shot, and she was stuck with the ball right in an odd position. So I was continuing this sort of slightly unfocused
30 all.
mind that Steffi has right now. A little impatient.
Wouldn't Maleeva make you impatient?
Well, I think, as I said, you know, she's very difficult to play because she's equal of both sides. doesn't make many mistakes. She hits the ball deep and hard and early all the time, and you have to sort of create all the opportunities for yourself. And you've got to, if you're playing against her, you've got to take the risks. So
Graf puts her away with the serve. 1-0 Steffi Graf here in the third set.
Final set.
Well, if you wanted a match, Steffi has it.
well, yeah, but you know, it's very dangerous to play any match without really concentrating 100%, because you can get yourself into trouble when you play somebody who's playing as hot as Maleeva is here today. Maleeva is playing absolutely tremendous tennis. And you know, I go back to the fact that really in the last few months she has pulled her game right up. She played just a super match in Flushing Meadow against Martino when she came from a set down to win it, and or I think I'm wrong with that. I think she was she won the first set in the end, but she was down in it, and then she beat her again in Tokyo, and then she lost to Steffi in the semifinals in Zurich in a 3-set match.
Up next, Fernandez and Zakova. Savchenko. And company. Still have doubles competition, more singles and doubles competition tonight.
Love 15.
You can't help wondering what sort of psychological effect it has on somebody like Manuela having two sisters playing. They're very close, and Katerina has actually overtaken Manuela in the world rankings. She's at number 7 and Manuela is number 9, and you wonder whether in a way it's spurred her on to being a little more competitive herself. Ambitious.
Love 30.
Love 30.
Well, there have been any number of games when Manuela has been love 30 on her serve in this match and has won the games.
Love 40.
Love 40.
But every time even if she winds up losing this game to go down 2-0 here in the third set, every time you think she's buried, or she's, you know, she's played a great game, but too bad Steffi's going to win anyway, she's come right back again.
Really hard point altogether, that one.
15-40.
And that's for the last 2 sets, Steffi. You can see her first serve came way down in the second set because it was up at 75 after the first set. A lot of unforced errors there, 28. And that will count as another one.
30-40.
So from love 40, 30-40.
Graf breaks serve and takes a 2-0 lead here in the third set.
Graf leads to love.
And we said after the first set tiebreaker that it can be a real emotional hill to, psychological hill to climb up when you've just lost it. But sometimes the reverse can happen too. You're so happy to have won it that you let up a little bit. Speaking in terms of Maleeva at this moment.
When Maleeva had lost the first one, came back, was up 4-1 in the second set. Saw that squandered away. Came back and still won the tiebreaker.
That was Steffi's first serve, and again that one has a lot of side spin on, which would take away from the pace of the ball. Yeah.
40 love. But you've had the feeling that Graf was taking over this match before, too.
And a good choice here to take that. She almost hesitated, and then she took it on the volley, but obviously the right thing to do, the way it turned out. So a convincing game for Steffi Graf. 3 love.
91 miles an hour on the serve.
And we haven't actually seen one of her huge crack serves. We haven't seen what the pace is on that, but keep saying how well she has been serving today. And if anything, there's been a criticism with the fact that her toss goes too high and she hits it when the ball's really dropped considerably. And one would think that there would be a problem outside in the wind, and yet she seems to have handled it very well. It seems to me to be better at the toss. So now it's Manuela who has the big question ahead of her. You know, it's pretty exhausting, not only physically but mentally, to play against Steffi. And they've been on court for, what, almost exactly 2 hours. It's not a bad little sum to put in your pocket over a career. As far as prize money is concerned, nearly $6.5 million. And you know that there have been many endorsements as well. Well, it's not so bad either, close to 2 million. But it pales in comparison with what Steffi's earned. Love 3.
You say you want to say now or never for Maleeva, but
15 love.
she's been up for it all afternoon.
5th ace, that's a lot.
And going right to work.
Yeah. And although Steffi's first serve has been so much higher, the percentage, she certainly hasn't come up with 5 aces. She's only had 2. So maybe she doesn't place the ball as well as Manuela does.
Quickly 40 love.
If there's an area that I think Steffi can really still work on, it's her return of serve, because it seems to me that there's so many good returners of serve out there today, and Steffi looks at a lot of second serves and really doesn't do too much with them.
Maleeva quickly captures that game, so it's 3-1 now here in the third and deciding set for Steffi Graf.
A heavy, slow spin there, causing Manuela problems again.
30 love.
Well, that counts as an ace. Manuela doesn't like it, but she's not going to get anywhere with her protest.
3 Graf, 5
In goes to Graf, who now leads here in the third set, 4-1. We'll take a break. Back with more tennis action after this.
By the time you're in your 20s,
That'll start at 7 o'clock live here on Nesson. And then, of course, the other single and the other double semifinals coming your way tonight. They'll feature Gabriela Sabatini and Mary Jo Fernandez in singles action. Kathy Jordan, Liz Smiley against Fernandez and Jana Novotna in our other doubles.
Love.
15 love.
Just caught that backhand late and it took flight. Good play.
30 love.
Tremendous effort, really, from Maleeva here in this match. She comes in at the right moment. She caught that a little fine, but you know that she's still really putting in such a dedicated effort here. Her concentration has never wavered at all in this match.
Watch these 2-hour matches. Soccer players and tennis players probably in the best condition any athlete I can think of.
Well, it's interesting when you get a close-up of their face after they've really just sprinted around all over the court, because they're hardly even breathing heavier than they are when they're stationary. Very fit. Strange, this set. Suddenly 4 love games in a row. First the sets of games were much longer, the points were longer, both players sort of just blasting the ball at the moment. 1 service break only. Very good point. But good hitting from both players, and by the time you've been on court this long at this stage of the match, you're pretty much an automatic. You know, your game is there. You've hit enough balls, that's for sure. You know, that's awfully good play from Manuela. The serve was very deep and hard. She just blocked it and returned it with interest, and Steffi had hardly recovered from her own serve when the ball was back at her feet. Yeah, too good.
Steffi back to work, 30-15.
30-15.
Bends so well, gets over, and that's sort of almost the hook when she gets it cross court, and you know, she was pleased with that one. Again, the change of pace was what caused Maleeva the problem. Slow, heavy slice.
Game drop.
And the game goes to Graf. She now leads it 5-2.
Graf leads 5-2.
Back here, Virginia Slims of New England. Manuela Maleeva with the serve. Trailing 5-2 here in the third set.
15 love.
She seems very calm, very steady, has a job to do and just goes about doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good shot. Just inside the baseline. People fault Steffi that she slices her backhand too much, but you know, on a surface like this, it's really a more effective shot than the topspin.
Ooh. 15-30.
Always a hard ball to gauge that. It's dropping so fast.
Regain the concentration.
Well, the baby continues to cry. Gee, Steffi hit that one so well, but that was so often happens. You hit the serves with your fault well. So 2 match points for Steffi.
40.
Down to that second serve again. Just missed.
She's unleashing on her shots at the moment. It was very close. Steffi doesn't like to compromise too much. Well, there wasn't much of a call for art. The call was late, but the umpire called deuce very quickly, and that was the same old story. She goes for broke and misses just by a little bit. So she's let Manuela off the hook right now. Deuce.
Comes back with an ace.
Advantage, Maleeva Frenier.
shaking everything else off. Come back and wins the game. Quite a performance.
It really is. And the crowd really getting into it, because when they've had such a close couple of sets, and as in the third, I'm sure they would really like to see it go down to the wire. Well, she's hit a couple of good drop shots, but that one was so high that Manuela had any number of things to do with it. Hit it well, didn't she?
$40-15.
And so she gets another couple of match points, this time on her own serve.
Game, set, match.
Game, set, match. Go to Steffi Graf. She comes back with an ace to win it. 7-6, 6-7, 6-3. Steffi Graf advances to the finals of this, the $350,000 Virginia Slims of New England.
Graf wins 7-6, 6.
By the time you're in your 20s,